What's up, guys? You guys are listening to Ciara's Pod. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, hello, my name is Ciara. I'm the host of Ciara's Pod. It is a podcast I have created on Anchor with a theme related to society and culture. Today's episode, I will be talking about, or the topic will be bullying. So I want to give a quick trigger warning. I will be discussing a discussion question related to bullying, which is how should bullies be dealt with within our country's schools? I give in my 2 cents on how I think bullying should be taken care of within schools in our country. So, without further ado, I'm going to get straight into the podcast episode. I ask you guys to try to like, share, and subscribe if you guys like this episode or video, I should say. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about this topic. What would you guys do if you had the power to control how bullies can be not really taken care of, but how bullying situations could be taken care of? But yeah, without further ado, let's just get started with the podcast episode.
For this episode, I decided to establish a bullying protocol, also known as a zero tolerance policy, and I'm going to use this policy as my thoughts and opinions on how bullies should be dealt with. And I just wanted to make more of a persuasive argument of how bullies should be handled and the system I created that I believe would be helpful for schools to handle bullying. So I base this protocol based off these 3 bullets. The first bullet is that schools should take action of the situation if bullying is being seen or if bullying has been reported. So when it comes to school administrators and teachers, they should automatically report any signs of bullying being reported. If they see bullying firsthand, it needs to be reported no matter what. And then the second bullet point I put is to determine the bullies, the victim, and the bystanders of the situation, trying to get the full story and a glimpse of the situation. And then the third bullet point I have here is giving the victim counseling and attention, and as well as giving the bully counseling, but they will be held accountable by punishment. With this protocol, I will also be explaining how schools should handle bullies and how schools should handle victims of bullying. When it comes to handling bullies, I think that counseling should be required as well as a punishment and or probation in addition, with using a more rehabilitation method but as well as giving punishments, restrictions and or probation to hold the bully's actions accountable. A list of possible punishments that I think that would be good for handling bullies. One I put is being suspended or being expelled from that school. And then the next thing I put was having parents come to the school and having a parent teacher conference and having the parents, aware that their child is a bully and trying to figure out more of what happens at home, what causes them to be a bully, things like that. And then if the bully returns to school, I believe that there should be a probation period. Now, when it comes to, I know specifically in high school, there's a lot of fun things that go on, especially those who are seniors or even just in school in general. There are things like pep rallies, dances, games, maybe if they're involved in sports, things like that. I believe that the best solution to make sure that bullies are being dealt with and hold accountable is to give them probation for a certain amount of time. This will make sure that the bully knows that their actions, consequences for them. The probation and rehabilitation model of handling bullies will not only hold them accountable and punish them for what they have done, but we also want to help them and make sure that they're not going to bully anyone else again and helping them with their issues, because most likely bullies come from or are created by people who have bullied them. Some oftentimes it can be parents bullying them, siblings bullying them, or they're being bullied already in school and they're just gonna bully someone else because they have issues stemming from that. So it should be both. We should hold the bullies accountable as well as requiring some type of mental health counseling. Now I will be touching on how schools should handle victims of bullying. So, the first point I have is to provide immediate attention towards the victim and having them recall the situation as best as they can. We should give a more child centered perspective. What I mean by that is having the child talk, and just express themselves how they can and try to explain their concerns as much as they can from their perspective. No adults or anyone else should be giving in their 2 cents. Just let them express themselves and how they view the situation and how they feel. No adult input at all should be given when the child is trying to tell their story. The next important thing is giving the bullying victim mental health counseling so that the victim can voice their feelings and any concerns they have being in that school, in the school environment. Then the next thing I put was granting the victim's wishes. So, in terms of their concerns, again, and their feelings, let's say, for example, if they are wanting to take time away from the school environment, the school should provide online classes or an option. Once again, some schools don't have funding, but funding should be in place for this. Or if the student wants to transfer into a different class, school, or school district, there should be a collaboration panel with the school administrators, counselors, school system board members, and parents or people in school that the child trusts in general, and having those people involved in helping to make the best choice for the child. But the choice should be child centered specifically. So the child should be the one that makes the final decision, but other members of the school should be involved in knowing that the bullying situation is very serious and that bullying should be taken seriously no matter what kind of situation has happened. No matter how small you might think it is, or even the most severe cases should be dealt with, similar to any small cases that people would think is small. Nothing is small when it comes to bullying in general. But the next thing I also have is the victim should be given counseling, and long term counseling should not be a requirement. But if the victim decides that they don't want to do any counseling, or if they're being seen outside of school, we shouldn't pressure them too much, but we should incorporate mental health awareness and counseling to the victim to make sure that the victim is doing okay and that they're being helped and that no one is ignoring the victim. So, if the victim decides not to move forward with counseling, there should be a mental health checklist that shows if the victim is ready to go back into school or if they feel okay not to do counseling in school. Having bullying and mental health awareness in schools and creating interactional events dedicated to this awareness should be established within schools around the country. I know many schools have bullying campaigns and then are giving surveys and all kinds of things, but obviously it's not doing enough. There's still issues with bullying. It might not get 100% better, but we can always progress further because, now with the age of social media, it's just bullying is coming from the internet in all kinds of ways, and bullying should just be nipped in the butt and we should have zero tolerance for bullying in general. I'm going to give my final bullet points to this research question. I'm going to restate it one more time. How should bullies be dealt with within our country's schools? So, the most important thing is for victims of bullies to be taken seriously the first time, as well as bullies being held accountable and being punished the first time, because many times bullies are not being held accountable and victims are being ignored by the teacher and school administrators. And bullying situations should just be handled right away and it should not be ignored, no matter how small you think it is. Every bullying situation should be taken very seriously because you never know what this child has gone through, what anyone has gone through at this point. We need to fix whatever is going on, no matter how big or small. Another important factor to consider with this question is funding being put into more counselors or mental health professionals in general that specializes specifically in mental health and behavior related issues. Now, I know schools have counselors, but to me, when it comes to grade schools, counselors, from my point of view, were more of an academic counselor where it's more focused on academics. Maybe some of you have had school counselors that were very close to you and helped you with your mental health. But I believe some schools don't really have the proper funding to have counselors that are more just centered on mental health. Like how I have it in college, there's counselors just for academic related issues, and then there's counselors more related to mental health. It should be, that's how it should be, I would say. Not all taken in at once and then it's just more about academics. It's always been about academics when it comes to high school because, high schools are trying to encourage students to go to college and it's more of that. Yes, there's some mental health stuff in there, but there should just be multiple counselors, like not just one counselor for each grade or just a couple counselors. There should be multiple counselors, similar to, you know, rehabilitation places, things like that. Just very similar to modeled for that. And the last thing I have up here is establishing a bullying report app. So, just like how some cities have apps where you can report crime and it can be anonymous, that should be established within schools so that bullying can be reported more because oftentimes students don't want to put their names out there and some may want to report, but they're just too afraid. There's probably more details and information that could probably be put into that before it can be established. But I think reporting apps for bullying should be established in schools. Okay, guys, so I will end this episode off right here. I want to talk more about this topic. I might do another episode or just a series about bullying in general. I look forward to talking to you guys about other topics as well. I want to thank everyone who has listened to this episode and everyone who has supported me through my podcasting. Thank you guys so much for listening. Once again, I said that a million times. Cannot say that enough. I will link all of my social media and my email in the description boxes. I will talk to you guys later.